Hi everybody. I got quite a few requests to look at Gary Payton II's thunderous dunks in the third quarter, so let's have a look at that stretch of play. This play starts innocently enough. It's just a quick high pick and roll. There's the pick, and it's a slip screen. Andre is rotating. Screener actually turns around and pops out to the arc. The Warriors defense is collapsing hard here. We've got Bjelica stunting in from the corner. He's going to definitely be ready to jump back out. Otto Porter Jr. is right on his side. Steph Curry over here, he has to zone both these players. The ball handler sees he's in trouble and tries to kick it out to the open man. Steph jumps the passing lane, but I'm not sure he would have reached this pass except that Andre also gets out his hand, and it's subtle, but you'll see that the pass gets deflected by Andre and slows it down just a bit so that Steph can catch up to the pass. Bonk, bonk. Nice tip. Out to 2-on-1. Steph going hard. I mean, okay, this is unnecessary, right? Because Steph definitely could just go to the basket and just bank it in. Or if he's feeling frisky, he could dunk himself. That would get everyone pretty excited. But no. Steph says, I see GP2, this is my new Dunk-O-Matic 3000. I want to play with my toy. But you know, it's okay. The move was unnecessary, but basketball is unnecessary. And so why not make it as beautiful as possible? So here we have Steph with a no-look. You see he's staring off this way. The no-look, toss it up, alley-oop. Oh, that is pretty sweet. And there's a bit of a question here. Who gets the most hang time on this dunk? Is it GP2, who definitely gets up there? Or is it Juan Toscano-Anderson in the background? Like, he's so excited. He goes way up in the air. I think he might have gotten up higher than GP2. Before we get into the guts of this simple play that the Warriors run for GP2, we need to go back to the recent history of Warriors' big alley-oop dunkers. The Warriors did run a couple of plays for Andrew Bogut for alley-oop dunks, but Bogut is not a real Skywalker. It was really JaVale McGee where the Warriors started trying to get lobs every single minute he was on the court. So let's go back and look at the basic playbook for JaVale. We're going in the Wayback Machine to 2016. JaVale McGee has just joined the team, and there was some question about whether he was a legit NBA player. Shaq was clowning him at the time, but he ended up playing really hard for the Warriors in good short bursts, and they loved the fact that he was an incredible dunker and an incredible catcher. He had really soft hands to catch these lobs for dunks. So the first thing you'd think of doing is run pick and roll with him. So here's a typical kind of play. JaVale McGee's coming over to set a pick for Sean Livingston. Remember Sean? Good old Sean. Sean takes the pick. JaVale is going to just dive to the basket. This defender unfortunately had to contain the drive, so JaVale has a free run to the basket. You get things like this. You throw it up. Thump. People learned very quickly that when JaVale is in the pick and roll, you don't just let him go to the basket. Here's another play. JaVale stepping up with the screen. Steph ready to take the screen. Instead of just letting JaVale go free to the basket, people started getting defenders in his way and otherwise just trying to block him from coming up and dunking it. So the Warriors developed this wrinkle where, you see, the ball did not go to JaVale on the roll directly. Steph passes it to someone stationed on the side here, who will then throw it up. It's like a relay, and then JaVale can go up and dunk this thing. Here's another example. JaVale comes up, sets a screen, Steph takes the screen. JaVale is immediately going to roll, but instead of trying to get the pass over to JaVale, Draymond is going to step up and be the relay man. Steph passes to Draymond right here. JaVale's rolling on the backside. Relay complete. Okay, now we're back in 2021, and we'll see they pulled out this play from the old JaVale playbook. Pretty simple play. Gary Payton comes up, sets a screen, but GP2 doesn't even really have to make contact a lot of the time. Here he comes. Oh, look, he did make contact. He put a little hand out to say, peace, brother, and then gonna peel off. Steph starts the relay straight to Andre, and then GP2 is just gonna go straight to the basket. We've got spacers in the corner, so that's going to keep the help a little bit out of the lane. This guy's pretty far in the lane. I don't know why. But anyway, these two guys are very fixated on Andre, and so they just don't realize the danger they're in. There's GP2, a perfect lob. And he goes up and reverse dunk for style points. And there's Andre saying, yeah, I know that was electrifying, but I'm a little concerned about my Silicon Valley angel investor portfolio. Next play down is interesting. It looks like the Wolves are playing a zone. It's either a 2-3 or it's a 2-1-2. It all depends on where D'Lo is supposed to be standing. So for instance, you can tell it's a zone because D'Lo is not going to follow Steph all the way out. This is part of the usual Warriors offense where Steph's running at you, then you've got to just go and screen whoever's defender is. And so Otto Porter Jr. does do that. But the zone screen coverage builds in the switch there, and this defender is just fronting Steph. D'Lo wanders over to make sure Otto Porter Jr. can't dive after that screen. So it does diffuse the play. Andre thinks that they also have principles where you're supposed to never leave Steph Curry. That's a pretty good principle. So let's try it on the other side where there's no Steph Curry. D'Lo's standing in the middle here, so this really does look like a 2-1-2 zone, which is pretty unusual. I think there are two different theories about how to beat this zone happening here. So GP2 is going to enter it over to Bjelica, and I think Otto Porter thinks, let me screen this guy because we're basically 2-on-1 in this little area. I'll screen this guy, and GP2, you can step over here and you have a completely open shot here because this is a soft spot in the zone and we've overloaded this one part of the zone. GP2 has a different theory. That's not a bad theory, but I don't know. GP2's shot has gotten better, but I don't know how much you trust it still. So GP2's theory, I think, is, well, let's see. We only have two guys here, and D'Lo's in the middle, and D'Lo is just looking at Bjelica, admiring his muscles. I think I can just cut straight down the soft underbelly of this zone, and there's not anyone to really contest me if I can get through. So if D'Lo notices this is happening and follows, then that will deflate the back cut. There, GP2 sneaking through. D'Lo still enraptured by what he sees on this side of the court. GP2 is just going to go right behind him. Sweet pass, and he gets fouled. Next time down, after some ball movement, Andre has to close out. Easily attacks the closeout. Bjelica steps up. His dunker could be free, right? So this is a good idea, but Otto Porter here is playing in so far from the corner that this pass is not safe. And Otto Porter Jr. says, look what business came to my door. Grabs the ball. If you count the bodies on the screen, on this side we have 4 Timberwolves, 3 Warriors. That means that we have 2 Warriors running down and only 1 defender over there somewhere. Steph can do math too. He can also pass. Long pass to Andre. If this was on the money, then there was going to be another alley-oop to GP2, but Andre has to catch up to it, and he thinks, I'm going to make a highlight bigger than the last 2 highlights. And with one touch, scoops it up for an alley-oop, and GP2, it's a little behind him, so he has to go up high with the one hand, and that would have been tremendous. I wish we had a close-up of the bench because there's so many different emotional reactions here. We have Jordan Poole holding up his arm in a weirdly formal pose, like, tally ho, good sir, please, Sarah, throw down that alley-oop. And I think that's JTA just looking with eager expectation. Wiggins also ready for it. And just look at their different expressions when the dunk doesn't come off. Oh, Wiggins a little bit deflated. Man, look at these giant ice packs he's got on his knees. I guess he hasn't quite recovered from his knee issues. Klay has kind of got his hands out and he's looking at Andre saying, I see your scoop, and he's making this bowling motion repeatedly. Afterwards, Andre and GP2 are saying, oh man, we almost had it all. Andre is saying, oh, that was so delicious, it almost made me forget about the contradictions inherent in the capitalist system.